Hi everyone, my name is John Wagenhoffer and I'm a civil engineering major at Florida Gulf Coast University. I'm going to be talking about sea level rise today and it should take about 5 minutes. So I live in Cape Coral, Florida. For those of you not familiar with the geography of Cape Coral, it's a peninsula. Yes, I know exactly what you're thinking. I live in a city that is a peninsula in a state that is a peninsula between the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean. A peninsula on a peninsula, what could go wrong, right? So needless to say, I'm a bit worried about my personal well-being when it comes to sea level rise. As I'm sure most of you are aware, sea levels are rising around the globe. It's important to note that sea level rise on our planet is constantly changing. History shows us that at one point, the sea level was 130 foot higher than it is today. Can we even begin to understand how drastically different our world would look with another 130 foot of water? On the other extreme end, around 20,000 years ago, the landmass of Florida was nearly double what it is today. This was because of an ice age and more water was locked in glaciers. So we as humans are having an effect on sea level rise now. Our use of fossil fuels and production of greenhouse gases like methane and CO2 raise global temperatures. When temperatures rise, guess what? The water in the glaciers I was talking about before are released and raise global sea levels. And to compound that problem, when sea temperatures rise, the water expands, rising sea levels even more. This phenomenon is troubling for most of us, and especially myself. Most of the world's population lives on coasts, so it should be concerning for them too. So here in the US, 8 million people live and work on the coasts. Florida is especially vulnerable to sea level rise because of its low elevation. Many Florida cities are within 2 feet of sea level. So some of the impacts that sea level rise will have on Florida are pretty devastating. When sea levels rise, things like a spring or moon tide become a serious threat of flooding. We see this occurring in Miami even now. The tropical storms Florida is known for will have a more devastating impact. The storm surge will be higher, and the erosion of its coast will literally change Florida's coastlines. The inundation of salt water from these flooding events threatens to contaminate our freshwater aquifers. That puts at risk our drinking water and the water being used in agriculture. It may not seem like a big deal, but Florida's economy is dependent on tourism and agriculture. Literally, number one and number two industries in the state would be destroyed by disappearing beaches and the inability to irrigate crops. You can, however, take some comfort in knowing that Orlando happens to sit about 100 foot above sea level, so the mouse should be okay for a while. So here we get to the question, what should we do about it? First and foremost, reduction of greenhouse gas production. It goes without saying. That is the only way to slow the seas from rising. My concern is what do we do about mitigating the issues we are already facing? This is going to seem obvious, but most people aren't doing it. Move away from the coast. It seems simple, but people don't seem to want to do it. I guess their water views are more important than the safety of their homes. It may seem like a strange idea, but maybe the beach is just a place that we visit rather than live on. This is a type of coastal planning. We can also adjust building codes along the coast to help protect people and property. Raising structures that are already in vulnerable areas and retrofitting the bottom floor with breakaway walls that prevent complete failure, building failure, can be a choice. We can implement hard engineering solutions like seawalls and other rigid permanent structures designed to prevent erosion and absorb the wave energy. These do come with their own unique problems though. Another mitigation technique is soft engineering designs. These take into consideration nature's barriers. These types of barriers have been protecting the coastlines long before human interference. Beach replenishment projects, reinforcing sand dunes, planting and restoring coastal mangroves are all viable soft engineering solutions. We should also promote healthy coral reefs as they absorb wave energy before it even hits our coastline. The scientific consensus is that sea levels are rising. The effects associated with sea level rise pose a significant threat to Florida's coastlines. We have an inherent responsibility to act now to prevent future disasters. Hard and soft engineering solutions, along with smart coastal planning, can have a positive impact on these effects. Maybe if the right measures are put in place quickly, I can continue to enjoy my existence on my peninsula on a peninsula.